one of the most compelling and, I don't know, entertaining and fascinating exploration of World War One comes from Dan Carlin. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to his sort of podcast form telling of the blueprint for Armageddon, which is the telling of World War One. What do you think about Dan Carlin? You yourself, as a historian who has studied, who has written about World War One, do you enjoy that kind of telling of history?
Absolutely. And I think, again, you don't need a PhD in history to be a historian, right?
Does every historian agree with that? He gets
No,
quite a bit of criticism from historians.
I mean, we like to argue with each other and
Yes.
nitpick with each other, but the one thing I have no patience for is when we like pull rank on each other. I think we depend on, if you're, a historian in a university with degrees and research materials, you depend on the work of people in some local community, like recording oral histories, saving documents. And history it's a social science, but it's also a storytelling art. And history books are the ones you find on the shelves in bookstores that people read for fun, and you can appreciate both the knowledge production as well as the storytelling. And when you get a good oral storyteller like Dan Carlin, there's a reason that thousands and hundreds of thousands of people tune in.
Yeah, but he definitely suffers from anxiety about getting things correct, and it's very difficult.
Well, our first job is to get the facts correct, and then
Yeah,
to tell the story off of those.
because the facts are so fuzzy. So it's I mean, you have the probably my favorite telling of World War II is William Shire's Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and or at least not telling of Nazi Germany, and that goes to primary sources a lot, which is like, I suppose that's the honest way to do it. But it's tough. It's really tough to write that way, to really go to primary sources always. And I think the one of the things that Dan tries to do, which is also really tough to do, perhaps easier in oral history, is try to make you feel what it was like to be there. Which I think he does by trying to tell the story of like individual soldiers. And um, do you find that telling, like individual citizens, do you find that kind of telling of history compelling?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need historical imagination, and I think historical imagination teaches something very valuable, which is humility. To realize that there are other people who've lived on this planet, and they organize their lives differently, and they made it through just fine too. And I think that kind of meeting other people from the past can be actually a very useful skill for meeting people unlike you in the present.
Unlike you, but also like you. I think
Mhm.
both are humbling. One realizing that they did live in a different space and time, but two realizing that if you were placed in that space and time, you might have done all the same things, whether it's the brave good thing or the evil thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get also a sense uh, of possibility. There's this famous line, right, that those who do not learn history are condemned to repeat it. But I think the other half is true as well, which is those who do not learn history don't get the chance to repeat it. Right.
Right.
That we're not the first people on this planet to face, any certain kinds of problems. Other people have lived through worlds like this one before.
Yeah, it's like when you fall in love as a teenager for the first time, and then there's a breakup. You think it's the greatest tragedy that has ever happened in the world. You're the first person, even though like Romeo and Juliet and so on had this issue. You're the first person that truly feels the catastrophic heartbreak of that experience. It's good to be reminded that no, the human condition is what it is. We have lived through it at the individual and the societal scale.